One of the most amazing things happened today. My God. When you allow yourself to be open and ready and willing, God can use you in such tremendous ways. So, I went to Costco today, and one of the things I went with my sister-in-law, and one of the things that we normally do at the end of our shopping, we normally head over to the food court area and we get a poutine and we share it. So, if you've been to Costco and you've been to the food court section, you know how crazy busy that place is. And there usually aren't any seats available to sit. Anyways, I was just there at the right time, and there's a more senior couple that was sitting at a table. It was just the two of them. And on this day, it was three of us that went to Costco. So anyways, I went over there and just talking, and they said they were getting ready to leave. So we're chatting, chit-chatting and whatnot. So finally they left. They got up and left, and I got the table. Now, while I'm sitting at the table, holding the table, waiting for my sister-in-law and my niece to come with the food, this older gentleman came and he said, "Can I sit with you?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "There's three of us, but there's room. You know, you're welcome to sit." He had a hot dog and a soda. So he sat down and we're just there chit-chatting. So my sister-in-law and my niece came with the food, and we're sitting down, and all four of us are at the table chatting. Turns out he started to share, the older gentleman started to share that his wife is in a nursing home, going through Alzheimer's, dementia, and that she has been diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer, for the second time. And that just brought such overwhelming compassion in our hearts. And, as he's sharing that, his wife used to be a nurse and she's getting really good care at this nursing home. And because of her history as a nurse, a lot of the other patients come to her for advice and whatnot. So anyways, we're there talking, and he started telling us about his background. He is Mennonite background, and he started telling us about what that means. I heard of Mennonite, but don't really understand the, what their beliefs and all of that. So he started to explain how his family came over. I think it's from Germany, I believe it was, or Russia, something. I think it was Germany. And when you're a Mennonite, Mennonites don't believe in fighting and wars and all that type of stuff. And so his family, the men in the family, were persecuted because they didn't want to go to war. They didn't want to fight in the war. So his family flee to Canada. And so, we just were like, oh, wow, that's, he didn't really know that before. So anyways, he's just sharing. He's just like sharing about himself. Turns out he's 80, more senior gentleman. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear about your wife. And there was a bit of a connection there because I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer 8 years ago. And, I'll tell my story another time. So I was talking to him and I was like, I understand what your wife is going through. We started talking about the different medications, and he was like, she's been on that tamoxifen. It's a medication that they give you after you've gone through your chemo to help to lower the chances of you getting breast cancer again. She was on it, but the breast cancer came back in the other breast this time around. And so anyways, we're talking, and he's like, we're meeting with our oncologist. They're going to decide if she needs chemo or if it's just going to be radiation. And so because I have that experience, I was able to kind of talk to him about it. And you know what happened next? He started telling us a little bit about himself and what he has been going through, how he had suffered a stroke, sorry, not a heart attack, a stroke. And he had this stent or metal or some titanium thing that they put into his heart. And, he turns out he has an enlarged lung, and he's just telling us about all these different challenges. And he says, it's a miracle that I'm alive. And I just felt heavily and strongly in my spirit to pray for him. And mind you, I've never met this man before. And I said to him, I said, would you mind if we pray for you? Can we pray for you? And he said, yeah. And we sat at the table in Costco, in the food court area, the four of us, holding hands and praying. Jesus. And we prayed for this man. His name was Gary. We prayed for Gary. And at the end of it, and I asked him his wife's name. He told me his wife's name, and I said, we'll pray for her as well. And we did pray for her during the prayer. But it was a big lesson for us because a lot of times we're so busy, especially at this time of the year. You know, we're just rushing and you know, we don't take time out of our day to stop and talk to somebody else. We don't know what other people are going through. We don't know what they're facing. We don't know the trials, the struggles, the heartbreak, the pain that they're going through. And all it takes sometimes is for somebody to see them, for somebody to acknowledge and even pray for them in the middle of a Costco food court where people are looking at us. And so I'm just so grateful because, you know, I ask God all the time, God, use me greatly for your kingdom. And a lot of the times, even though I say that prayer, sometimes I don't allow myself to be open to be used by God. And just today, I'm just so thankful that I got that opportunity for God to use me in this way. And who knows what will happen? I don't know. But I got the opportunity to come to Jesus for Gary and his wife. And it's just a reminder that never be too busy to stop and say hi to somebody, even inviting them, a stranger, to a table that's already packed, just to say hi, how are you doing? How's your day? Or even smile and wave. Too often, we just let the busyness of life get to us and distract us from what this life is really about, and that is the caring for other people. I'm just so grateful that God presented this opportunity for us to pray for Gary and his wife. What a blessing.